This question was actually anonymously posed. Uh, it says, would Professor Noam Chomsky agree with Russia's moral right to attack, in your opinion?
No, he's made it very clear. His answer is no. And brace yourself for this. Are you ready? Hold on to your seats. I disagree. I think reasonable people could disagree. I don't see as I've said before, I don't see the logic of an argument that agrees that there were 10,000 provocations, but when a country is up against the wall in the face of 10,000 provocations, it doesn't have the right to react. I don't understand that argument. Now, the argument would make sense if you could show that there were options, diplomatic options, that hadn't been exploited. But I haven't seen evidence of that. And I think there's a second part to that. I don't believe any diplomatic option short of total abject surrender by Russia would have been accepted by the US and NATO. I think that was very clear that they were determined to encircle Russia and to assure that Russia had no leeway to react to any insubordination against the US and NATO without having to face the prospect of a violent reaction by the US and NATO. I don't see the US and NATO were determined. I can't prove it, but it's my opinion that beginning in 2014, the US and the EU, in particular the US, were very worried about the rise of China, and they were treating the globe as a chessboard, how to move around their pieces so as to isolate China so that it too would be faced by an ultimatum from the US and NATO. And part of manipulating its pieces was to defang Russia, leave it no room for maneuverability, and so they would have a clear field against China. That was famously called by Barack Obama. He called it the Asia pivot. We're now going to start focusing on Asia, the Asia pivot. And that begins in 2014. And from there on in, it was across, as they like to say it, across the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, there was a consensus China had to be stopped. And part of the strategy to stop China was to reduce to zero any possibility for Russia to act independently on the world stage. And that's why they were determined to station those troops and those missiles in Ukraine. So I do not believe, I assume Professor Chomsky's answer would be that all diplomatic options weren't exploited. A, I don't see any evidence of any diplomatic option that wasn't exploited. And B, if you can present me with one, I would say the record after 30 years shows it was not going to be positively received in the West.